Hello, welcome once again to Beyond the Boundary TOI Sports पर आप देख रहे हैं हमारा show. Yes, I'm back after a while. Chetan Nirula here, hosting Beyond the Boundary for you guys, and we will be discussing about India's spin options. कि आगे बढ़ते हुए कि भारत के पास क्या spin options होने वाली हैं, because of course it's a big news this week, right? Ravichandran Ashwin retiring out of the blue, whatever the reasons, whatever the stories. But yes, that is the big news this week that Ravichandran Ashwin has called time on his international career. But now, of course, you immediately need to start planning for the future as well. So we'll be discussing with our panelists what are the options for India going ahead. We have with us K. Srinivas Rao, Group Sports Editor, Times of India, who's joining us, as also Pankaj Athavale, sports commentator. And in a short while, we'll have Nitin Nayak, Senior Editor from TOI, joining us as well. But before we start the show, a message to all of you, please do subscribe on our YouTube channel and do like and share the video if you like our discussion and our show today. So, on that note, let's start. Ravichandran Ashwin, the big news, Srini. Of course, it's been a couple of days और धीरे धीरे ना settle down हो रहा है. धीरे धीरे आप realize करना शुरू कर रहे हो कि what India has lost. I mean, the next time the test match comes in, सबसे बड़ा debate तो होगा ही नहीं ना अश्विन या जडेजा. वो debate ही खत्म हो गया. हमारी लाइफ से इतना बड़ा डिबेट खत्म हो गया है कि यार अश्विन को खिलाएं या जडेजा को खिलाएं. हमारी लाइफ से रंग चला गया है एक तरीके से हम कहें. बट जोक्स अपार्ट, there's a big gap in terms of the bowling prowess. Uh, so your first thoughts on this, because we need to figure out what are India's spin options. Where is India's spin future from here? Your thoughts?
Well, when you started the show, you talked about the possible replacements for R. Ashwin. The confidence with which this Indian team has let R. Ashwin go, I'm hoping that they know something that you and me definitely don't know.
Hmm.
Because Washington Sundar has just broken into the squad. I mean, for the longest
Yeah.
time, and I love Washington. It's no secret. Like I really adore the guy. Whatever he brings
Yeah.
to the table, right? I've been trying to track his career from his TNPL days when he kind of broke
Yeah.
into the scene. Like I fell in love with the name in the first place. And then ever since I've always been a fan of the potential that he's shown. Then, of course, our previous tour to Australia, the kind of role that he played in that historic series, well, kind of further affirmed my belief that this
Hmm.
guy has great potential going forward. Glimpses, he's shown glimpses in IPL, never really achieved the kind of potential that I expected him to when, in the stint with Sunrisers Hyderabad. So I see a great stuff from this guy. But then, how many times has he really been available? When he's been really kind of wanted. The fitness has been a major issue. In fact, I can't remember many cricketers who have been as dicey with their fitness as Washington. Ashish Nehra probably and Munaf Patel. These are the names that come
Hmm.
to our mind. When we talk about players
And they're
who've been
pacers.
consistently
They're spinners.
batting.
Pacers.
Sorry.
And they are pacers. They're not
The
spinners.
Pacers, yeah, and spinners, I really can't think of names. I've suffered as badly as
Hmm.
Washington. Now, for the first time, Washington actually finds a place, and it's actually, in the series, in the run up to the Tour of Australia, kind of he did what he did. He got selected for the Tour of Australia, where again, I thought Ashwin was a no-brainer at the start. Remember, we were discussing before the Perth test. He was supposed to come for the press conference, and we said he's going to play Perth. He was going to play the Perth test
Yeah.
match at any cost. Next day, we realized he doesn't come for the press conference, and I think that's where the momentum began to tilt towards the fact that Washington could be a
Hmm.
stronger. Thing. So all of that put together, now is when we are hearing Washington. Otherwise, to go back to that initial conversation you started with, where replacement for R. Ashwin, I can't think of a single off spinner who's made any kind of noise. Who forget replacement. That's a very big word.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, ए एक चीज ये होता है कि आप एक अपना फ्यूचर बिल्ड करके रखते हैं. And if we talk about the white ball format, I think from that perspective, uh, if you talk from that perspective, the white ball perspective, Washington Sundar was always the guy that they were going to bring in terms of white ball. I remember Srini this time last year, not this time last year, a couple of months back last year, we were talking about around September, October before the World Cup. जो हमारा conversation था, it was on another show, but the conversation was who is the off spinner who could really come in. And the one off spinner that we could think off spin all rounder, that was Washington Sundar. So when we talk about the white ball format, you had Washington Sundar, who was always, kind of in the frame in terms of that off spin role. But uske alawa, agar aap red ball cricket ki baat karo, where are the names? We're going to look at some names today as well. But in terms of having different type of spinners, then yes, you have Ravindra Jadeja, you have Akshay Patel, you have Kuldeep Yadav. For a time pehle, you had Yuzvendra Chahal as the other wrist spinner. Now you have Ravi Bishnoi who's coming up. So there are names in terms of your spinware in white ball cricket, लेकिन red ball, पंकज एक ऐसा एरिया रहा है जहाँ पे Ravichandran Ashwin has been a humongous name. And when I say that, I read a stat this morning when I was having my morning coffee. I read a stat that Ravichandran Ashwin has not missed a single home test since 2011. That's 13 years, buddy. 13 years. Ravichandran Ashwin has always been available. Even Ravindra Jadeja missed home test, but not Ravichandran Ashwin. So that's a huge gap. Or yes, there are different debates, different ways to look at things, different ways to look at the statistics. But when you have a spinner who's played consistently for 13 years, जिसने हर visiting side की नाक में दम कर दिया था, that's a huge gap to fill. Pankaj?
Definitely, no doubt about it, and I concur with what Srini mentioned. See, I feel India, mein na, we are basically, and it's a hard truth that we are not worried about red ball cricket at all. Why do you
Hmm.
think you mentioned Ashwin played for those non-stop 13 years? Because he was the innovator. I mean, he could do something and he could kind of adapt immediately in the red ball, and that's why he played. The problem with all of us is that in India, it's like the batting part of it. We are so egoistic about our batting. We are so stuck with our batting that the batting is going to win you everything. यहाँ पर वहाँ पर सब जगह पर, and still we talk about a spinner in terms of a Jadeja or a Washington Sundar or a Ashwin because he can also bat, down the order. तो ऊपर वाले क्या कर रहे हैं भाई? So truly speaking, in the last decade or so, we have completely lost out in Indian cricket the role of a specialist spinner in red ball cricket, and that is the reason why you find Ashwin continuing without any backup. And as you all just discussed, that you don't find any backup names as such which come up. अगेन जडेजा वो भी नहीं, उसकी बैटिंग ठीक ठाक है. वॉशिंगटन सुंदर को आप क्यों ले रहे हो? नहीं नहीं, उसकी बैटिंग है. अरे नंबर 6 नंबर 7 पर भी अगर आप बैटिंग टटोल रहे हो, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स अ सीरियस प्रॉब्लम, एंड दैट makes migration very very difficult, and that's why we have these knee-jerk kind of things where Ashwin has retired midway, and then suddenly we don't know, we have a problem on hand, but we are not ready to accept it because nahi nahi wo mara nahi theek hai. That is the major problem with the red ball cricket planning in India.
Yeah, I mean, Srini hit the nail on the head. Srini, you hit the nail on the head. We have Nitin Nayak, senior sports editor, Times of India, joining us
Hi.
as well. Welcome, Nitin, to the show. We were just
Hi.
talking about Ravichandran Ashwin and his yeah, hi, and his retirement. If you remember, we were discussing, we were building up to the BGT, and there was this announcement. दोपायन is absent today because of personal reasons, but अगर दोपायन होता तो वो पूरा elaborate करके बताता कैसे हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि रविचंद्रन अश्विन तो पर टेस्ट मैच खेलेगा ही खेलेगा क्योंकि वो प्री मैच +1 के प्रेशर में आने वाले थे. And then everybody was like,
Yeah.
oh listen, he did not come, which means he might not be playing, and he did not end up playing the per test match. Now let's have this comment as well. Nitin, I'll take your thoughts immediately with this comment. What was that statement from Ashwin's dad, that humiliation can only be handled to a certain point? Look, this is an emotional time. There will be comments here and there everywhere, but it is a question mark, isn't it? That Pehle Ashwin was contending for his spot with Ravindra Jadeja. Now there's Washington Sundar as well. So what's really happening is, is this been a step pushing him towards retirement?
I think firstly,
Nitin,
hello to all. Hello to all. I think firstly, what we need
can you
to
hear me?
what we need. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Hello. 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 Hello.
Yeah, Nitin, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
Okay.
you continue.
Yeah. I think what what all fathers need to do right now is just keep quiet. Yuvraj's father, Ashwin's father, you know, they just add to the drama and just make needless controversies. Full respect to them. I mean, for whatever they have done for their children's careers, but I feel that at such times it's better that they don't fuel what the media wants right now, which is more controversy, especially now that there is a significant gap between the two tests. When it comes to, I think R. Sridhar also had said that he would prefer Washi and not Ashwin. But what Washi and Nitish Kumar Reddy are both giving this team is notional batting depth, which I feel in Australia will actually harm you and not benefit you. Um, I would rather play four quicks and a spinner, four out and out quicks. I mean, if you remember what we did in Cape Town, we had Mukesh Kumar and Prasidh as backups for Siraj and Bumrah after their first spells got over. What happened in Brisbane as well as in Adelaide is after Bumrah's first spell, there was a significant drop in terms of quality when it came to Siraj, and an even more significant drop in quality in terms of Harshit Rana. So I just feel that they need to not consider notional batting depth. And I saw the headline of your show saying who after Ashwin. I would rather, if with permission, if I can just say what after Ashwin.
That's
Because
a big one. That's a big one. Yeah.
And Nitin,
yeah, because that
Nitin,
is something which is we will not have a mind like him again in Indian cricket.
Correct.
And Nitin,
Yeah,
this question doesn't really is not really an India specific question. I think even from a global standpoint, if you
yeah,
were to kind of look at where is your next big off spinner, where is your next big
Yeah.
off spin
yeah.
talent, I really can't. So if we were to start a discussion on left arm spinners, I think we can go on and on till breakfast.
Yeah, yeah. T20, in
Absolutely.
fact, is T20 and the modern one day rules. I think have
Yeah,
significantly affected off spinners, and because left arm spinners okay because they can bowl darts and get away, or bowl outside the right hander's leg stump. But off spinners really have no place to hide. So I think T20 and the modern one day rules have affected the growth of off spinners.
But
right.
that seems to be pretty interesting because we'll of course look at, as Chetan joins us back again, we'll have a look at the records, because the left hand spinners or left armers or slow, whatever we call them, their record is very interesting. If we look at Ravindra Jadeja's record, because we need to see what after or what beyond Ashwin. So let's have a look at Ravindra Jadeja's record. Was there, like to ask both of you all, was there an obsession in the last couple of years or maybe just pre-COVID to have too many left-handers in the domestic circuit also as well as the international scene for India also? That's where we also have the Akshar Patel bhi khel raha hai, Jadeja bhi khel raha hai, local in fact Ranji mein bhi aapka. So Srini, is this a season of obsessions that come? Suddenly you have an obsession with leg spinners, suddenly you have an obsession with off spinners, and suddenly you have an obsession with left arm bowlers, and now, as you said, we can't find any.
I think Nitin pointed out the right way when he said it's also a result of the format. Right now, you are already into 15 years of IPL.
Yes.
So once and 15 years of IPL has had a major impact. On I'm saying forget that. I mean, like it's small things we don't tend to notice while they are happening. Like if this impact rule continues to be for another 3 to 4 years, for 4 years
Gone.
later, we'll be probably
Yeah.
sitting and talking about where is our next all rounder coming from. I think that's going to be a discussion maybe sometime down the line. So probably from that aspect, if you look at the off spinner discussion right now, I think the making of this debate began 15 years ago. What has
Uh-huh.
happened is, what was a classical off spinner like when the career started? No kid, let's take my own boy. He loves playing cricket, for example, right? Yeah, he's mesmerized by the idea of wanting to be a Shane Warne in life. He's mesmerized by the idea of wanting to be an a Virat Kohli in life, or the cricketer that that typically popular name, right? When was the last time that you catch hold of a 10-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid and say that I want to be the next good off spinner? Off spin was something that you would pick part time while you were doing something else. You are middle order batter, or you're a top order batter, and then you kind of pick a bit of off spin. And look at Rohit Sharma. He gave up bowling, but he could roll his arm pretty well. I mean, while he was at it, right? So that's how it began, and then obviously kind of things come a bit naturally to you, and some go on to become an Irishman, some go on to become a Suckland Mushtaq, probably some disappear, kind of way too early. But I think the genesis actually kind of starts when you want to mix your batting with something else as an
Hmm.
extra strength to your cricketing abilities. From that aspect, I think what has happened is in IPL, from a 4 over perspective, that entire idea of off spin has gone for a toss. Unless I want somebody to kind of, your 4 overs really don't, if you are run of the mill. If you had a Saklan Mushtaq playing IPL, probably that would be never seen before kind of a thing. But if you're a run of the mill and if you're trying to settle down, which bowler wants to get hit when you're 20, 21, 22, 23 years of age? So you naturally end up giving up on it. I'm trying to kind of try and bring some perspective to, or trying to share a thought in terms of what could have happened to a random youngster from 10 years ago who probably may have given up on off spin to settle for something else. I'm just thinking aloud. That's all. But I'm
Yeah.
saying that somewhere we got to kind of point a finger and say what really went wrong. And well, here we are. I was trying to Google if some name comes to mind in terms of who could be the next off spinning bet we have on cards. Like who? I randomly Googled and I came across that name. I've of course heard it before also, Tanish Kotian. But
Yeah, on that note,
other than
Srini,
that, I
on
can't
that
think of
note,
any name.
on that note, we did prepare a list of players who could actually
Yeah.
come on scene. कि कौन से प्लेयर्स हो सकते हैं, कौन से वो खिलाड़ी हो सकते हैं जो रिप्लेसमेंट बन सकते हैं. लेट्स हैव दोस ग्राफिक्स ऑन स्क्रीन नाउ. इफ यू लुक एट द ठीक है, अगर आप लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिन की बात करो, यू हैव अक्षर पटेल who's just waiting on who's just waiting in the wings, and he has played test cricket as well. So रविंद्र जडेजा का वो बैकअप वहां पे आपको मिल जाएगा. So that's your test, and ठीक है, this is done. If you talk about leg spin, you have Kuldeep Yadav, who's been India's number one overseas spinner, if you remember, since 2018. हालांकि उसको इतना chance मिला नहीं है. Now he might start getting more opportunities in Test cricket, and with Gautam Gambhir at the helm of affairs, you never know. Maybe Ravi Bishnoi might be asked to step up, go play some red ball cricket, and say that is your backup wrist spin option. But अगर आप ऑफ स्पिन की बात करो, you have Washington Sundar जिसको आपने ग्रेजुएट कर दिया है टेस्ट क्रिकेट में, but then who else is there? Can we have those graphics on the screen as well? Here's Washington Sundar. He's just there or thereabouts in terms of the kind of Test cricket that he's played. If you look at his first class numbers, they seem to be pretty decent. And let me be honest. In first class cricket, he's not your regular off spinner. In first class cricket,
Better.
he's actually your batter who can bowl. Something like Ashwin, the way Ashwin had started his first class career, a batter who can bowl. That's Washington Sundar in first class cricket. So uh, इसके अलावा, who are the off spin names? You have the likes of you have Tanush Kotian जिनका बार बार उठ के नाम आ रहा है. There have been a couple others जो who have dropped off. Do we have those graphics? Yeah, look at Tanush Kotian, 101 wickets. Now, Tanush Kotian, can he be fast tracked into the system? Can he be given more opportunities? We don't know. Who else is there? Let's have those graphics on screen, please. एक एक करके. Tanush Kotiya के अलावा मानव सुथर obviously a left arm spinner. We're talking about off spinners in particular. But again, the point here is जो एक टाइम था जब जहां पे आपको मालूम था कि हु आर योर नेक्स्ट बैच ऑफ स्पिनर्स कमिंग अलोंग. राइट नाउ अगर आपके पास वो गिनती के 4 या 5 नाम हैं, उसके अलावा you do not have that base, or you do not have that second level of attack to carry on. So अब इसमें अगर आप आईपीएल का फॉल्ट ढूंढ लो, इसमें आप या फॉल्ट ढूंढ लो सिलेक्टर्स का. माय नेम से चेतन शर्मा, आई वुड गो ऑन एंड से कि बॉस उनका जो सिलेक्शन कमेटी था, they did not lay the groundwork for the previous selection committee or this selection committee to really fall back upon. That was one of the poorest selection committees that we've had in recent times. No groundwork was laid. जो चलता है वैसे ही चलने दो. So from that perspective, Indian cricket has been a little poorer, and now you get the you come to this where Ashwin has said, okay, boss, bye bye, Tata. Now you're thinking, okay, tomorrow if Washington Sundar gets injured, where is my next off spinner coming from? What are your thoughts, gentlemen? Sanash Jain is another name, but again, these names have not really, वो होता है ना कि they have not really banged on the door of selectors and said, okay, Ashwin is there, but I'm always the fallback. क्यों क्यों कभी भी हमें एक तीसरा स्पिनर नहीं दिखाई दिया स्क्वाड के अंदर, चाहे ऑफ स्पिनर हो? यस, अक्षर पटेल वाज देयर अबाउट, कुलदीप यादव वाज देयर अबाउट, बट क्यों हमें कोई दूसरा ऑफ स्पिनर नहीं दिखाई दिया इतने सालों से? क्यों 13 साल से सिर्फ अश्विन ही अश्विन था, अश्विन ही अश्विन था? Nobody really came on the door and banged the door down. That that A is a quality of Ravichandran Ashwin, and B, that is where Indian cricket has been found lacking. Let's get your thoughts on this. Let's start with Srini, and then then Pankaj, and then Nitin. Srini.
I remember very recently one popular cricket handle on Twitter. Um, I think it was the North Stand gang who kind of tweeted on Rajesh Chauhan. Okay, I allow me
Yeah,
this because it
yeah,
came
yeah,
to
yeah.
my mind. That's why I'm like, they tweeted some nice ad, and one of India's finest off spinners, etc., etc.
Yeah,
My mind goes back because we grew up on a diet of cricket from that time, right? In today's day
yeah.
and age, if we had a Rajesh Chauhan among us, like really, tell me how seriously would we be discussing a spinner from a Ranji Trophy, this thing in from Madhya Pradesh, unless he's like kind of really gone for big bucks in the IPL. How seriously would we be discussing that name? Okay, I'm saying this for a reason that we are operating at a stage right now where I've not really heard of a spinner who has come up the ranks from first class cricket, playing red ball cricket.
Yeah.
When was the last time I heard a spinner who was making, who was some great shakes in Ranji Trophy and then, kind of made his way to the Duleep. And by virtue of that, we are like kind of discussing as a potential India opener. 9 out of 10 names that we probably start discussing, maybe not just Indian, maybe overall, would probably be a result of who we have been watching in the IPL, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think that for starters has been a big bane, in this space. Where if a Rajesh Chauhan in the 90s in the Ranji Trophy, we really never gave a thought in terms of कि इसका strike rate level क्या है या इसका कितना मार खाया है इसने first class cricket पे या क्या. We allowed the spinner, if we saw potential in a spinner, we allowed the spinner to take those risks no matter what, survive, look at the long haul. That appetite purely in classical off spin, especially if you're talking about, I think what we are witnessing today is the death of the appetite, not death of talent. Talent will keep coming. I think what we have lost out on
Okay.
is
Okay.
patience and
Hmm.
appetite. And I
Okay.
think today, I'll just complete this line. Today, you are listing out, our backup team is listing out these spinners. Sai Kishore, how much of a classic spinner are we waiting to look at from a Sai Kishore's perspective as much as we expect him to be the batter that he is? So I'm just thinking aloud. I'm just kind of, food for thought here. We aren't really showing the appetite that's needed to kind of locate where our next good classical off spinner is coming from.
I'll give you a small example. अभी आपने जो इतनी बात कही ना, बिल्कुल सही बात कही है. I will tell you why. Uh, I'll tell you why. Manav Sutar, Abhi, I was doing this Ranji Trophy game. I was doing the commentary there. Manav Sutar was playing and he did really well. It was a green top surface. उस round के बाद then he was included in the India A side that went to Australia. So he's been वो gradual progression आ रहा है. Now there are spinners from the domestic circuit who are starting to make that progression. The problem is they're not off spinners. You're looking at wrist spinner, you're looking at left arm spinner. Now, Pankaj, how much of that is a byproduct of something like the IPL? जहां पे अगर आप देखो, हम जब भी बात करते हैं व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट में मैचअप कहाँ होता है? लेफ्ट आर्म स्पिनर का मैचअप होता है. मैचअप कहाँ होता है? रिस्ट स्पिनर का मैचअप होता है. ऑफ स्पिनर का आपको एक ही मैचअप मालूम है कि लेफ्ट हैंडेड बैटर को कराएगा. लेकिन how many pure off spinners can you actually find? How many pure Indian off spinners can you actually find in the IPL? Not many. There is a correlation there, right? While you have a left arm spinner ka lineup, while you have a wrist spinner ka lineup, your off spinner ka lineup is a little dry, and you have the likes of a Tanush Kodian or a Saransh Jain, but are they really banging the door down? So there is the balance that we are seeking, जो इतने सालों से इंडियन क्रिकेट को नहीं मिला है.
First of all, I think we have to be very clear that Indian cricket is primarily not concerned about red ball cricket. That is the first thing that we have to realize. White ball cricket will never be able to give you the classical off spinner क्योंकि भाई 20 overs 50 overs में भाई वो गरीब बेचारे बॉलर का भी थोड़ा सा सोचो, उसको कम से कम रन देना है वरना उसको अगले मैच खेलने को मिलने वाला है नहीं. So the classical off spinner is always going to come from a red ball kind of a ecosystem. But we're not concerned because first of all, in fact, post the Dhoni era, we never had any captain. I blame Virat and Shastri and Rohit for that because they are not concerned about bowler नहीं है ना. ठीक है. So as you mentioned, कि वॉशिंगटन सुंदर इंजर हो गया तो क्या होगा, हमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, हम अक्षर पटेल को ले लेंगे, किसी पार्ट टाइमर को ले लेंगे, हमको हमारी बैटिंग चाहिए, हमको 8 9 10 भाई बैटिंग बैट. सो द ऑब्सेशन विद बैटिंग, the whole idea that IPL is going to provide you spinners, I think is something problematic. And the red ball thing in India now, because we are playing so much of white ball cricket, people have forgotten that red ball पुरानी होती है, उससे बॉलिंग करने की एक कला होती है फॉर अ फास्ट बॉलर और अ स्पिनर. हम व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट में आके ये सोच रहे हैं कि आप शेनवान जैसी बॉलिंग करेंगे. यू नो समथिंग व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन इंडियन क्रिकेट. In fact, do you remember? All of us remember the times when Australia had the Tom Moody's and the Bevans and the Shane Lees and the Neil Harveys. That they played in that era in red ball cricket that actually matches white ball cricket today. That is the kind of. अच्छा, हम व्हाइट बॉल में ऑलराउंडर चाहिए तो हम उनको मारने में तुले हुए इम्पैक्ट रूल लाके हमको उनको खत्म कर रहे हैं उनके एग्जिस्टेंस को. अच्छा, फिर हमको ऑलराउंडर नहीं मिलते तो हमको रेड बॉल से कोई लेना देना है ही नहीं. अच्छा, WCPC, अच्छा ओह अच्छा आने वाला है, अच्छा चलो 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 बिकॉज द ऑब्सेशन विद बैटिंग and the lack of thought process की red ball होना है. I think we have to make sure that we think completely separate team, completely different for red ball. Only then all these problems will be sorted. And please also look for a good captain for red ball cricket.
Okay, यहाँ पे एक हिंदी में कमेंट आया है which is very rare, so I'm just going to read that out. Cricket lover brand 45 says मध्य श्रृंखला में उन्हें संन्यास लेने के लिए मजबूर किया गया, यहाँ तक कि रोहित भी चाहते थे कि वे एडलेड में खेलें. Well, he did play in Adelaide and he was Ravichandran Ashwin was persuaded to play in Adelaide. अश्विन को बीच सीरीज में जबरन रिटायरमेंट के मामले में मुख्य दोषी अगरकर और गंभीर हैं. Look, I think the decision was his. Let's be honest. I think no. I mean, you know what? These comments really need to be considered. Look, I think the decision was his, but I think I would not disagree that he was not pushed towards it. Let's be very honest. Because I have had conversations with Ashwin in the past. जब भी मैं tour पे था, I'm talking about that 2014 to 2018 cycle. I remember in 2014, I remember in 2018, there were so many times when he did not play test matches. वो बस बैठा हुआ था, जडेजा खेले जा रहा था, and he used to wonder. Because look, these are all family people at the end of the day. They all have their families, and ये कहीं ना कहीं तो सवाल आएगा ना कि बॉस मैं टीम के साथ भी हूँ, मैं 3-3 महीने के लिए टूर पे भी हूँ और I'm also not playing. क्या करने गए थे? Anyway, but यहाँ पे एक पॉइंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो पंकज ने बोला है. नितिन, I want to come to you with that and I'll take Srini's thoughts afterwards. Look, batting is important, there is no doubt about it. लेकिन this statement I find very irritating. I found it irritating in Perth. I found it irritating in Brisbane as well. और कभी भी जब ये comment use हुआ है, I found it very irritating कि बॉस उसका बैटिंग अच्छा है इसीलिए उसको खिलाया है. यार आप स्पिनर बैटिंग के बेसिस पे पिक कर रहे हो. You're picking a spinner on the basis of batting. You should be picking a spinner on the basis of how well he bowls spin bowling in those conditions. And all respect to Jadeja, he is not a top class spinner in those away conditions. That is still Ashwin. Ashwin has always needed to be your number one spinner. So let's talk about this in two ways. Pehle, is this batting thing hurting our search for better spinners in our domestic circuit? Is it really hurting us? जैसे श्रीनी ने भी कहा कि IPL is one of the reasons where you don't get your quality spin bowlers. पंकज ने भी कहा कि IPL में भी जब आपके कोई भी स्पिनर आ रहा है, मैचअप्स जो बन रहे हैं उसमें भी आपको देखना है कि भैया वो कितना बैटिंग कर रहा है. So is this batting element hurting our spinners?
This batting element will hurt our overseas fortunes, especially
Okay.
when in England, in SENA countries, this obsession with
Hmm.
batting will hurt us big time because we have sadly veered away from that Kohli Shastri era where we picked five proper bowlers irrespective of what their batting strengths were. And I think that is
Hmm.
why we tasted so much success in that era overseas. But
Yeah.
now if you suddenly think that Nitish Kumar Reddy is going to be your Jacques Callis, then I'm sorry, man, it's not going to happen because
Hmm.
Jacques Callis gave you a batting record of Ricky Ponting with the pace of a Brett Lee. You know,
Hmm.
it's not going to and we don't have that quality here. And
Hmm.
in terms of spinners, what I feel is off spin needs to become sexy again. You know, it's not sexy enough for people to even worldwide. If you see,
Yeah.
apart from Mehdi Hassan, apart from Nathan Lyon, apart from Ashwin, who are
Yeah.
the off spinners in the 150 plus Test cricket club? There's nobody. You have your Taijul Islam. All of them are left arm spinners. Shakib,
Hmm.
they were all left arm spinners. So off spin has to become sexy again, and that is why I thought Ashwin was so important.
Hmm.
He he was a very television friendly off spinner.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He made you want to know. That is why, I mean, you had that Sky Sports masterclass, wanting just like they used to have that intrigue with Shane Warne. you know
Hmm.
they had his variations were made off spin sexy again. So off spin needs to become sexy enough for people to take up off spin again.
No, Nitin, off spin is not sexy at all. आप देख लो, आप
Yeah.
अश्विन को सेक्सी बोलोगे, जडेजा को बोलोगे with that rock star look and everything. आपके लिए Nathan Lyon is not sexy. आपके लिए your wrist spinners are sexy. आपके लिए left arm spinners are sexy. But look, sex appeal को हम नहीं ऐड कर सकते हैं. बैटिंग पे पहले ही डिस्कशन होता है. सेक्स अपील को भी एक फैक्टर बना दोगे तो फिर ऑफ स्पिन will die as an art. But Srini, do you also kind of agree or disagree with the fact that this batting factor कि भैया हमारा स्पिनर शुड बी आर वन ऑफ आर कंट्रीब्यूटिंग बैटर्स that is hurting India. The white ball में I understand that is a tactic. Yes. In red ball, अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन में जडेजा को खिला रहे हो because of his batting prowess, अगर आप पर्थ में सुंदर को इसीलिए खिला रहे हो भैया वो बैटिंग कर सकता है, this doesn't get. I just don't get it. Ashwin has 6 test 100s. Washington Sundar, you're including him for batting form. क्या किया मतलब ठीक है उसने न्यूजीलैंड के अगेंस्ट बैटिंग किया था नहीं बॉलिंग किया था तो आप पर्थ में ये कह रहे हो कि वी आर प्लेइंग हिम बिकॉज़ ही इज अ बेटर बैटर नो बॉस Ashwin is a better batter in test cricket there's no doubt about it so my big question here is this batting कि हमारा spinner batting batter होना चाहिए is that really going to hurt Indian cricket in the long term you're on mute once again
Sorry, I just like to keep it on mute when I'm not talking. So,
yeah
so it works both ways, Chetan. Like,
okay
when
okay
things
go ahead
start working for you, this very thought becomes, a feather in the cap. And when things begin to not work in your favor, like kind of, then this very element becomes, the scary part. So, for example, I mean, I'll be very honest and I'll speak aloud, right? Every time that you have a captain who's a batsman, who's not in
Hmm.
the kind of form that you want him to be, and
Hmm.
gives way to insecurity when he's leading a
Hmm.
team where he begins to feel that there is a thought that kind of there are going to be enough runs on the board. You see this mentality creeping in where you say jitne batters pack kar sakte ho kar lo. I remember a certain captain many years ago, kind of he kind of became a very successful captain in Test cricket, but kind of his own form began to dwindle. And the one thing he would look at is kind of pack the order with as many batters as possible, and then kind of have those spinners who can also bat a bit. But then this is a question that I asked Sachin Tendulkar when I interviewed him on his 50th birthday. And
Hmm.
I was talking to him. I said, do you think that one of the bigger losses in Indian cricket is the fact that, we really don't have cricketers who could roll their arms over, right? None of them were classical spinners in any this thing. But There was a time 15 years ago when you had a Yuvraj, you had a Raina, you had a Virendra Sehwag, you had Sachin himself, who could at any point in time join, the bowling squad. I think one of those things, that element has totally gone missing from the team. Somewhere you had a Rohit Sharma who could once in a while kind of, roll his arm over, he stopped bowling. That element is totally gone. So you don't even have part-time spinners, something that helped Sri Lanka so well, in the 90s. I think that's one element that kind of has brought the owners back on specialist bowlers, because you really don't have part-time bowlers who can roll their arm over. And then
Hmm.
the need to kind of pack in your 11 with as many batters as possible, because men responsible for getting that job done have been relatively incompetent in probably doing it. So a mix of all this, I think, is leading to the kind of scenario that we are witnessing at this point in time. um,
Hmm.
just a last thought on this, kind of, I'll just share it. Is there we are not even looking at, this being a plan A, and to discuss if there can be a plan B. There is no plan B in place. We have
Right.
come so far with this mindset already that we really don't know where we are going with this, and it's not like we can take a U-turn and head to any kind of square one. You know, I I I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, as this discussion goes further, probably this will come up again.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I agree. I mean, because I firmly believed, and I'll get our thoughts of our audience. मैं चाहूंगा कि आप भी इस बात पे कमेंट करें जो मैं कहने वाला हूं, और मैं अपने पैनलिस्ट से भी ये पूछूंगा, because I firmly believe that Ravichandran Ashwin never got the respect that he deserved for taking 537 wickets in 106 test matches. Come on, man. That's a crazy start there. उनको वो respect नहीं मिला, उनको वो औदा नहीं मिला. Hopefully, now that he's retired, hopefully now he will get that respect, because everybody is a well wisher for Indian cricket. But are we going to find another Ravichandran Ashwin? I'm very doubtful on that. Let's take a few comments. Pankaj, your thoughts on this one. Rohit, yeah, Srini, go ahead.
You may find another off spinner. You won't still won't find a Ashwin.
Oh yeah, you can, of course. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, Washington Sundar has उनकी trajectory जो है, वो अश्विन की trajectory पे
What I
शुरू
meant
हुई
was,
है.
you may find a successful off spinner once again, but you still won't find a
That's
nice.
the hope. That's the hope. I doubt it. But that's the hope.
Very
Pankaj,
unique
your
guy.
thoughts? Is it fair to say that? Is it fair to say that Ash is the last bowler to clinch 500 Test wickets? What do you think about that? Let's take a look at the list. 519 पे हैं कर्टनी वॉल, स्टेन 439. एक्टिव की बात करें, this Tim Saudi has retired at 391. Active में
Rabada
Mitchell
could
Stark
not.
372.
Rabada.
Uh, Rabada is way down on the list, yeah.
Yeah, it's way
Rabada
down. Yeah.
is way down. उससे पहले Mitchell Stark हैं 372, Jadeja 319. I think they're a bit off, right? Uh, Kagiso Rabada is a little down. I'm just checking.
He just got
Yeah,
300. Yeah.
yeah, 300. Yeah, he's got 300, right? We're talking about 500. Kagiso Rabada is just ahead of Jadeja, 319.
Yeah.
Both of them on 319. So 500 last test bowler to achieve that, Pankaj and then Nitin.
Probably because the number of test matches अगर आप खेलेंगे तब जाके आपको इतना wickets मिलेगा. The kind of squeezing of
Hmm.
T20, one day and test matches is happening so much, and in fact there should be a different set of players. Only then this can be achievable. The other problem, what happens is that what Srini mentioned, that we really don't have too many people who can roll over their arm. That's also because of the audacity that Indian cricket sometimes has, knowingly or unknowingly. Like a Nathan Lyon, we'll never even respect him at local level. फालतू bowler hai. And look at that. We have an Ejaz from New Zealand who comes and takes 10, 12 wickets in a test match. And instead of saying that we are not good players of spin, we say कि ऐसा bowler तो हमारे club में हर एक में मिलता है. अब तो लेते क्यों नहीं हो तुम? The sheer disrespect for bowling in Indian cricket is the major cause, and that's why you'll see not many bowlers going up to 500, because आप उतना खेलेंगे ही नहीं. The other problem here is that the role for bowlers in a test match, we really don't worry about it. We are not even bothered about it. कि अच्छा हम हमेशा रिएक्टिव रहते हैं कि पिछले मैच में हमारा कॉम्बिनेशन नहीं चला, इसलिए अगले मैच में हम कुछ और करेंगे. अबे अगले मैच में तो माम्बा ग्रीन विकेट है भाई, उधर तुमको कुछ और लेना चाहिए. या you have your confidence on part-time bowlers. You know that they are going to play. आप जडेजा को खिलाओ, अश्विन को खिलाओ, सुंदर को खिलाओ. You play them on a green track also, but then arrange your tactics accordingly ना. आपकी बैटिंग का इतना ऑब्सेशन हो गया है, we disrespect the bowlers. Secondly, हाँ बुमराह है, सब कर लेगा. The Indian thought process is like, okay नितिन 5 विकेट निकालेगा, श्रीनी 2 विकेट निकालेगा, अच्छा ओपनिंग में पंकज और चेतन है, वो तो 50-50 बना ही लेंगे. We live in that kind of time, and that's the reason why we are never able to develop good players, especially spinners. Now tell me, हम ऑफ स्पिनर की बात कर रहे हैं, which decent leg spinner do we have in the country right now? Red ball में कोई नहीं है. That is because we simply do not. कुलदीप यादव रिस्ट स्पिनर एक है. मैं राइट हैंडेड लेग स्पिनर की बात कर रहा हूँ. और क्वालिटी देखो, बिश्नोई एंड एवरीवन इज वेरी गुड इन टर्म्स ऑफ शॉर्टर फॉर्मेट. मैं रेड बॉल की बात कर रहा हूँ, नहीं है हमारे पास, हमको परवाह भी नहीं उसकी. That is why, in fact, okay, Chetan is there. We will quickly take the, in fact, Ravichandran Kumar. Yeah, Chetan, you're back. So, as I said, we simply disrespect bowling, knowingly or unknowingly. And अब ये हाल है हमारा इसके सामने. And I think what Srini said is also right. Probably it's a point of no return. अब इतना आगे निकल चुके हैं कि अभी हमको पता नहीं कि अब क्या करना है आगे इसके.
No, I think Ravi Bishnoi might be asked, because especially, और Ravi Bishnoi का नाम मैं इसलिए ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि आपने हर्षित राणा को बिना फर्स्ट क्लास के आपने उसको टेस्ट मैच खिला दिया, बिना लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस. सो रवि बिश्नोई 7 फर्स्ट क्लास मैचेस. Gautam Gambhir loves Ravi Bishnoi, so maybe he might be fast tracked into it. Who knows? I mean, he might be asked to play more first class cricket. Nitin, your thoughts before that? We'll take Ravi Shankar's comment. Ashwin never got that respect which he deserved. Famous statement about Ashwin shows the thinking of the management. एक और पहले भी आ रहा था, sir, I disagree on this Kohli Shastri era. Kohli is the one who played Ash in WTC final after playing both Ash and Jaddu. After that he never played with Jaddu. पूरा टूर खिलाया था बॉस जड्डू को, इंडिया इंग्लैंड का पूरे 4 टेस्ट मैच खेले थे. भूल गए आप? वो ड्रेसिंग रूम की बालकनी में अश्विन बैठा हुआ था यूं करके. क्या बात कर रहे हो? WTC फाइनल के बाद ही था वो. Immediately after that पूरा टूर ड्रेसिंग रूम पे बैठे थे. And there are a lot of stories regarding that tours, but I don't want to get into that here. Nitin, your thoughts? Is Ashwin the last active bowler to cross 500 wickets?
He's the last oracle, definitely. He's the last oracle for me, because the intrigue that he brought to off-spin bowling, I don't think any other off-spinner will be able to bring that. He made off-spin almost into a science and an art, and created so much theatre. I mean, his what I'll always look at is the control that he gave captains when he bowled. An attacking line to a right-hander outside off stump, as well as the delivery which got Steve Smith the last time, on the leg stump. So and I think he's the one. I was just looking up some stats, and I think in terms of bowlers with 200 test wickets, I think he's the only spinner. I think he has the best strike rate amongst all spinners. 50 point something, 50.7 or something. That is mental, man. That's absolutely mental. I mean, you're not going to get
which is really
and we don't mention, when we talk about overseas records or SENA or playing well only on doctored pitches or whatever. Why don't we attach the same conditions apply to somebody like a James Anderson when he has similar records outside England? We should talk about him also in the same way, no? Why?
Okay.
Home cooked food, I think for granted.
No. I'll be honest, because let's be honest here, Nitin. Because we've worked in the media long enough, we do not support our players enough. Up James Anderson ke dekho, he's the greatest. Look, he's one of the greatest. I love how James Anderson has played his cricket, how he's performed. I firmly believe he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest. But आप इंग्लिश मीडिया को देखो, उनके लिए सब कुछ ग्रेटेस्ट हो जाता है. हैरी ब्रूक इज ऑलरेडी देयर बेस्ट टेस्ट बैटर एवर. हैरी ब्रूक कैन नॉट प्ले स्पिन टू सेव हिज लाइफ, बट वो ऑलरेडी टेस्ट बैटर बन गया है. बट नोबडी इज गोइंग टू क्वेश्चन दैट. लेकिन हम अगर अश्विन की बात करें, every Tom, Dick and Harry and their dog will question Ravichandran Ashwin in SENA countries. क्यों भाई?
We say great bowler, but great bowler,
Ah.
but
but
yeah,
yeah, so,
yeah.
that is a major issue. So, and we now let us also talk about, look at this comment. Look at this comment. Ashwin never got respect because he never performed in Sena wins for India. You only get respect when you are not only in spinning pitch. Now this is an illiterate comment. I'll be very honest about this. This is an illiterate comment. अगर आप expect कर रहे हो कि वहां पे आप turning pitches पे, non turning pitches पे जाके Ravichandran Ashwin is going to get you 8 wickets or 10 wickets, that's not going to happen, right?
Just
वहां पे
just
जाके
ask, just that
वहां
that
पे
person
जाके
whoever
आपको
just
एक
said,
10, no
yeah,
no I'll just
ask her
explain
to
this.
ask her to Google the scorecard of the Adelaide Test match and ask her to find out how
Exactly.
many overs Nathan Lyon bowled.
Yeah, exactly. So the point here is कि India के spinners को जाके you have to find a spinner to hold that one end together
Yeah,
and make sure the opposition batter does not escape, and then allow your fast bowlers to attack, right?
Exactly.
That is something that Ashwin 2014 he was not good at. 2016 onwards, that was something that he was really good at, even in overseas conditions. और अगर आपको एक एग्जांपल चाहिए, आप एडलेड में रविचंद्रन अश्विन का रिकॉर्ड उठा के देख लीजिए. एडलेड एंड रविचंद्रन अश्विन, हम एडलेड और विराट कोहली की इतनी बात करते हैं, आप एडलेड और अश्विन का रिकॉर्ड भी देखिए, द वे ही इज बोल्ड देयर इन एडलेड. यस श्रीनी, गो अहेड.
One of the things that we are totally missing here, where you had, I think Nitin had mentioned Virat's captaincy, right? Virat and Ravi era, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things was during the Virat and Ravi era, there was a purpose and a game plan with which we kind of prepared for a tour abroad, right? We kind of styled our entire lineup with regards to kind of a particular mindset. We knew that with Bharat Arun, Ravi, Virat, they planned it in a way where they said that if you've got to make an impact, there was no discussion like this whether how capable or how fruitful can a bowler like R. Ashwin can be in Sena countries. I mean, as Chetan rightly said, it's a futile discussion. That's not even a discussion. The thing is, what could we do to succeed in conditions like Australia, for which we built a particular attack, and we had a spinner who could probably look at the stock option where, kind of when bowlers would need a break, etc.,
Yeah.
kind of you hold one end, you stand there, and then you eventually would go back to your plan A, which was kind of, going with an all out pace attack. That was the plan with which you went. The thing with this team under Rohit is, I don't know what kind of a plan and what kind of a preparation have you kind of gone with. आप इस टीम में जसप्रीत बुमराह को बाहर कर दीजिए, आपके पास कोई प्लान ए नहीं, प्लान सी भी नहीं है. Your
Correct.
everything that you are doing, depends around what Bumrah is going to give you. And वो बेचारा बैटिंग भी करना है, उसको बॉलिंग भी करना है, उसको सब करना है. Depending on which you are going to survive in
Yeah.
Australia.
Okay.
तो आपका
You
प्लान
mean
बी
we have,
सी डी को बात नहीं,
yeah,
छोड़ दो. आपका
yeah.
प्लान ए ही नहीं in place.
We have,
So
Shini,
that's the
on
thing.
that
And
we have a long week. We
one
have a
thing,
long week.
and
Yeah.
this same mindset further, kind of further embattled by the fact that your own batting lineup is not working, and as a captain, you've not been able to put those runs on board, is now further making you feel insecure, and that's why you want to pack this line with those extra batters that we've been talking about, and it's one thing adding to the other to the other. The whole discussion around what
Hmm.
Ashwin brought to the table, and kind of whether he was relevant or not. I think from this standpoint, it's totally an irrelevant discussion. I unfortunate, but I think that's where it stands.
Okay. Before we go, let's take a look at other records as well. What Kumble did, what Harbhajan did, what Jadeja has done. Let's take a look at what Ashwin has done in terms of Sena. Then also take a look at what Kumble and Bhaji and Jadeja have done. And one final comment on, in the great hall of Indian spinners, where is Ravichandran Ashwin going to rank as? Look at that. I think despite everything, despite that vacant 5 wicket haul in Sena countries, he's taken four. I think he's taken four a few times, but then it just things just sometimes don't work out. I mean, Sachin Tendulkar doesn't have a century in Lords, does he? Uh, yeah, Nathan, go ahead.
Did you cover? You were there on the 2018 tour, right, to England?
Yeah, I was there. Yes.
I mean, his spell in Southampton. I think people should just
Oh
watch
my
that spell.
God! Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God! That was probably his boss. we lost. I can't believe we lost that test match. First of all,
Yeah,
जो हम एजबास्टन के टेस्ट मैच हारे थे. I think even better than Adelaide if there was one game. And thank you for reminding me because मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा था कि वो कहाँ पे खेला था. That
Southampton,
was
yeah.
one test match. Yeah, no, Edgbaston,
no, Southampton.
Birmingham.
Southampton. No, Southampton. He bowled very well in
Okay,
Southampton.
Ah,
yes, Southampton
yes.
as well.
When he had
But
a
before
sports
that,
hernia,
Edgbaston. Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
but
having a
Edgbaston
sports
also.
hernia. Yeah.
Yeah, Edgbaston also. Edgbaston also. The first test match where
Yeah,
he came out and he said, "I love the Duke's ball more than I love the SG ball."
yeah,
That was
yeah,
Edgbaston. I think
yeah.
Srini was there in
Yeah, yeah.
Edgbaston.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got a call from SG.
Yeah, you were there in Edgbaston, right?
No,
So
no, I got a call from SG. I said.
yeah. No,
So
but
when the
he
whole
came
thing
out.
began ना, वो तो
India
इनफैक्ट वो
lost.
मेरे को बेचारा फोन करके वो समझाने भी लगा कि वो सीन कितना ऊपर है, क्यों है, क्या है, अश्विन साहब को कौन समझाए, I love the way
India
Ashwin
lost that
started
test
those
match
debates.
because इंडिया लॉस्ट दैट टेस्ट मैच क्योंकि हमने पुजारा को नंबर 3 से ड्रॉप कर दिया था. आई थिंक इट वाज शिखर धवन, मुरली विजय एंड केएल राहुल. आई थिंक बैटेड एट नंबर 3 इफ आई एम नॉट मिस्टेकन. आई डोंट रिमेंबर बट हमने चेतेश्वर पुजारा को नहीं खिलाया था डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट कि वो 2 महीने काउंटी क्रिकेट खेला था और खूब सारे रन
Yeah.
बनाए थे. Just like we didn't play Ajinkya Rahane in South Africa, we did not play Cheteshwar Pujara in the first test in 2018. But that was an amazing test match in Edgbaston. Southampton, again, he bowled really well. And for people who question his record, Nitin, like you said, that series went downhill once he got that hernia.
Yeah.
Right? India was
Absolutely.
in it.
Yeah.
India was in it going to the Oval Test match. So yes, like I said, Sachin Tendulkar also doesn't have 100 at Lords, but that doesn't mean Sachin Tendulkar isn't great. Ashwin, that's your SENA record. Let's look at the other SENA records as well. Look at Jadeja, and then look at what Kumble and Harbhajan, and pretty similar. In that sense, he has that one 5-wicket haul. वो जो Durban में Test match खेला था वो धोनी के under, and he kept on. And I remember that Test match as well. I was there. It was my first overseas assignment. They did not change the new. They did not change the old ball. The new ball became due. उन्होंने 150 ओवर कराए थे.
150
एक
overs.
बॉल
Yeah.
से
Yes.
एक बॉल से 150 ओवर. It stopped rising above the knee roll. उसमें बाउंस ही नहीं था बॉल में. And जडेजा kept bowling. और वो एक 5 विकेट मिल गया और वहां पे वो I will never forget MS धोनी for this. वहां पे वो जो डिबेट शुरू हुआ अश्विन जडेजा का, उसने 10 साल हमें परेशान किया है अश्विन जडेजा के डिबेट ने. Let's take a look at Anil Kumble and Harbhajan Singh as well. There you go. So again, SENA is and then Harbhajan Singh as well. So let's a final question. Talking about this, Srini, let's start with you. Where does he's gone now? Let's start with this. Okay, Notorious is actually giving us really good comments today. Shane Warne has a bowling average of 43 in India, but that doesn't take away his greatness. Absolutely doesn't. Let's एक comment आपका और भी था. मैं वो comment लेना चाहता हूँ because हाँ ये रहा. This comment, can we remove the graphic but take and bring Ashwin ka graphic because the last question is about him. This is the comment that I wanted. Can we have the overall figures for Ashwin, please? Overall, he was obsessed with Steve Smith. If there is one thing that defines Ravichandran Ashwin, it was his obsession. It was his learning ways. He was always bowling in his head. He was always bowling, right? अगर आप उनसे बात करने जाओगे ना, I think he was imagining, oh, चेतन कैसे बैटिंग करता है, मैं चेतन को कैसे आउट कर सकता हूँ. That's what Ravichandran Ashwin was. He was obsessed with Steve Smith. He was reading his hand patterns. Who has that obsession? आप ये पूछ रहे हो who has? मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ who will ever have that obsession that Ravichandran Ashwin did? So finally, gentlemen, my final question. Now that he's gone, how will we remember him? Srini, let's start with you.
How will I remember Ashwin? I won't remember Ashwin for any of the numbers. The numbers speak for him. The numbers,
numbers are just there for a graphic. You talk about.
I will remember Ashwin, let's say, for that famous press conference when that journalist asked him about the surface, the pitch, right? And the answer that answer, like in my eyes, like, I adore him for the fact that he can pick a conversation and take it back, to whoever is answering and kind of spit those facts and tell it the way it is. That authority with which he can speak. Of
Yeah.
course, we all understand, the knowledge and etc. that he brings to the game and all, but that
Mm.
authority with which he can give back is what makes
Mm.
me, love R. Ashwin. I mean, I'm itching to see him in the commentary box with one of the Australian cricketers going back to the yesterday battles and try my, like, I mean,
They
try
would
your
want
luck,
to rush
kind
into
of
the commentary box. You
getting
know,
under his skin.
I'll be honest. I'm surprised Fox Sports allowed him to come back to India. मतलब वहीं पे उसको hire
Listen,
करते भैया तू contract sign
if
कर और
I
डेविड
had
वार्नर के साथ
if
yeah
I had the opportunity, and somebody who's covers cricket on a regular basis should look at this, if I
yeah
had the opportunity to interview R. Ashwin today, okay, if I really
yeah
kind of could sit to him talk, we all know what he's done as an off spinner, what he's done as a cricketer, etc., etc. To make him sit down and talk about the various scaling aspects of the game and to understand his mind in terms of, just in the years that he played, from the time that he made his test debut to until the day when he said goodbye to international cricket. I would love to listen to R. Ashwin tell me how he sees the game evolved.
Hmm.
How has he seen cricket evolve in these, 12, 14 years? I mean, he's a guy I can go on listening to. I can just go
Hmm.
on listening to propose the subject, propose
well I'm
the.
sure we'll be listening to him a
To
lot
me,
yeah
that's the Ashwin that stands out.
okay Pankaj your thoughts quickly
Hey, we'll remember Ashwin for a long, long time. Ashwin will also remind us again and again in his commentary streams on his YouTube, and all. But two moments primarily
he's
quickly
not
come
going
to
to
our
let it
mind.
go yeah
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we call Shane Warne's that ball of the century, but Ashwin ने जो पहला कैरम बॉल से वो श्रीलंका मैच में पीछे से क्लीन बोल्ड कर दिया
oh
था, तो किसी को याद नहीं, that's what you said is right. We don't support our own players. अबे है legend तो है legend. And the other, of course, moment is when he left that ball to for Nawaz left arm round the wicket World Cup में
that
और white
Melbourne
चला
game
गया India Pakistan. I mean, those two moments stand out to me right now.
hmm. Okay Nitin your thoughts
Um, the delivery to Hashim Amla in the 2014 T20 World
oh
Cup semis.
yes yes
That is one. And one delivery which is very, very underrated, but it had a huge impact in India qualifying to the semis of the 2016 T20 World Cup at home was the
Hmm.
delivery that he bowled to Shakib Al Hasan. Caught Suresh Raina at slip when Shakib was going really, really well. And I
Okay, I
think
remember.
had Shakib stayed for two more overs, the game was gone. But
I
but Dhoni
yeah.
Dhoni brought him back on to get Shakib's wicket, seeing that he has a good record against left-handers.
Yeah.
And man, that he I think he won the man of the match in that game.
Okay. I don't recall that match to be very honest. As in that spell क्योंकि उस match में बहुत कुछ हुआ था.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, um, I'll remember Ashwin as you talk about Edgbaston, you talk about Adelaide, Edgbaston performances, his performances in Adelaide. I remember him for that Bangalore Test match. I think that was the 2017
17.
series of Steve Smith was
Yeah.
captain, and we were under the pump. We had lost the first test. We needed to win the second test match. Oh man, that was an amazing spell he bowled in Bangalore. Amazing spell he bowled in Bangalore. Most of all, all these thoughts will be there. वो जो छोड़ा वो मेलबर्न में वो बॉल को छोड़ा वाइड चली गई. That was typical Ashwin. Always thinking. I think
Exactly.
most of all, I think we'll remember him for somebody unique, somebody who will not be replicated again. They're not in this era. When he started becoming the big off spinner that he was, not many had the the
The gumption
braveness
to do
of
that, yeah, yeah.
no the braveness of wearing half sleeve shirts and bowling.
Yeah.
कितने
हाँ.
कितने पिछले 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 20-30 साल में पिछले 20-25 सालों में how many off spinners have bowled with half sleeve t-shirts, right?
How
And you know
many
where
off
I'm going with
spinners have bowled? How many off spinners have bowled with regular tailor stitch full shirts?
Taylor stitch, yes, with regular Taylor
This is
stitch t-shirts, not
And
not
and
the full sleeves cut up with her 3/4.
and and how many off spinners in the
Yeah,
middle of a game, in the middle of an Asia Cup game, suddenly decide I want to bowl like Sunil Narine.
yeah.
yeah, and there was this he would come and he would stop
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he would bowl
The,
one of the very one of the
that
most
famous
yeah
last over in the Champions Trophy.
yeah
He
yeah
paused
yeah
for
yeah
the last
yeah
ball.
yeah yeah and you know social media पे scientist बहुत चलता है. It was actually a very senior Bengali journalist who came up with the word scientist for Ashwin. अरे वो तो scientist है, वो जैसे bowling करता है, ऐसे करेगा, ऐसे करेगा, ऐसे करेगा. He's the scientist, right? So Ravichandran Ashwin, hope to you. A career well done. Hats off to you, and there will never be another Ashwin. So, thank you, gentlemen, for joining in today. That'll be our show today, and that'll be our show for this week. We'll be back on Monday, and we'll start our build up to the important fourth Test match. बारिश ने बचा लिया ब्रिस्बेन में, क्या कुछ हो सकता है सीरीज में, आगे चर्चा करेंगे हम. मंडे को मिलेंगे शाम को 6:30 बजे, उसके बाद टेस्ट मैच की तरफ बिल्ड अप करेंगे. फॉर नाउ, के श्रीनिवास राव, thank you so much. Nitin Nayak, thank you so much. Pankaj Athavale, thank you so much. All our viewers, thank you for watching and commenting. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and share our video if you did like our show. As always, we can't take all the comments, but we try and take as many as we can. We'll all see you on Monday at 6:30 p.m. Thank you and goodbye for now.